It's good, y'all. Number 27. Now, simple topic that I wanted to get into today. Patterns. There is such a thing where, it could take on different forms. It could take on different looks, sounds. But when you pick up on it and you start to notice it, you start to realize there's a repetition going on with it. For some reason, there's always got to be some repetition to go along with it. There's always a pattern in something. Whether it's a pattern that you realize with yourself, whether it's a pattern that you noticed on the internet, out there in the world. I mean, it could be anything at this point. Duh. But I just wanted to go into this thing, you know, a little bit of a lighter topic, because a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about lately is serious stuff, and granted, it is serious. So don't get me wrong on that. I make sure to point that stuff out. Otherwise, it seems like I'm oblivious to all of this, and I don't even know what's going on. Nah, I make sure to do that. But I just wanted to do this one on a much lighter note, and how I've noticed, starting with myself, how I've noticed that when it comes to posting up my stuff that I post up on YouTube, my material and everything, I've always noticed a pattern that I had going for it. That anytime when I post 3 during the week, I've always had 2 poems, like 2 serious poems, like life poems or I'm reflecting on myself kind of poems. And then the third one would be like a love poem that I put up there. Sometimes it comes like that. Sometimes it's the vice versa of it. Sometimes, the love poem is in the middle and the 2 serious ones are both ends of each other. I notice that every time I tend to post some stuff like that up there, I'm like, wow, I just realized I realized I do that. I just realized that. Why is it that I do that? I don't know. I guess that's just my way of I guess that's just my way of, you know, bring it away from the seriousness a little bit and just set a lighter mood from time to time. I mean, granted, not all my poems are serious like that, but yeah, sometimes a lighter mood, it fits for what I'm trying to do. So I tend to do that a lot. I notice that though, because I feel like I am repeating myself the way I'm posting stuff like that on my YouTube and everywhere else that I post my stuff at. Um, yeah, that's something that I've noticed for myself, but it seems like I'm gonna keep doing that anyway, because it's what I do. I give y'all the serious and then I lighten the mood a little bit. Just a tad. Another thing that I noticed when it comes to finding a pattern in something, it's the internet. Yeah, it's gonna be the internet. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you go on the internet, you see the patterns there. It's for better or for worse. A lot of the time, it's for worse. And whenever you start to pick up on that, you start to realize is this what has is this where it's come to now, that the only reason people want to hate on something is because they just want to do it just for the hell of it, that it becomes the bandwagon kind of thing, all because they don't have minds of their own, or the opposite of that. People tend to agree with something even though they don't have their reason behind it. They just say it just for the sake of saying it. You know, there's always something like that going on. There's always something like that where, I mean, we're all supposed to be able to have our own opinion on something. We can agree to disagree, that we could be able to speak our own minds and be able to talk about our opinions on something. so that it doesn't seem like we are just a bunch of robots forming a line and we're just falling in line with it just because someone said it. We all agree with it or we all disagree with it, and it just becomes a whole it becomes an internet war for no reason whatsoever. It becomes an internet war for no reason. And it's like, nah, stop doing that. You know you got your own mind. Speak it. Don't fall in line with everybody else. Be your own person. Say what you really feel about whatever it is. Say what you really feel. You know? And sometimes it is best to admit when you're wrong, even though it's hard. Sometimes it is best to admit when you're wrong. You know? You got your own mind. Make your mind up. Make up your own mind. Don't fall in line with everybody else. You know, when it comes to the internet, a pattern like that is what I usually see. It's what I usually see when it comes to the internet. I tend to find that a lot of the time when I'm up there. Whether I'm on YouTube, whether I'm on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever. Whatever it is. I always tend to find that. I always tend to find that pattern. And it just increases by the day. It just gets crazier and crazier by the day. How about set a pattern where it's more of the positive things? It's always the focus on the negative things. What about the positive things? Can that get a lot of attention as much as the negative stuff does? At least. Now, music-wise. Now, y'all know if I'm going to get into the music stuff, I tend to find a pattern in some of that as well. Now, my opinion on the matter with this is that a lot of the time with music today, I can understand why it's as big and as popular as it is. But I've always had this thing in mind that with all these new artists coming out, it's like, to me, you're only as good as your hit song. If you can't measure up to that or better, then you're gonna fall off eventually. You know, listening to a lot of the music that we got right now, you know, the kind of music that's meant to be like let loose, have fun, just go with the flow. Like, usually it's like if you're going to the club or you're going to a party, usually on those kind of occasions, I'm okay with that. But on a daily basis, I notice the pattern. Because it's like almost everybody sound alike. How am I supposed to identify who the artist is unless I see them perform, or they shout their name out in their own song, or they get a shout out on the radio, or I find it on the internet? That would be the only time I know about them. That's the pattern I tend to find a lot of the time. I mean, way back when, during my junior high years, that's when I really started to pick up on it because I was listening to a lot of that music at the time. That was before my taste in music changed. I was listening to a lot of, the popular stuff, the trending sound. I mean, that was the beginning. That was the start of it all. In the 2000s. In the 2000s. I mean, that was the start of it all. In the 2000s. It was early 2000s. That's when it started. Leading up to where we at now with this, it's like, damn, almost everybody gotta hop on this. Nobody really gotta do that. Come on now. Come on. Like, we need some more music out here where we can identify who the artists are. They got a story to tell, and there's more to it than just putting out the content we're familiar with already. It's not like we don't know at this point. Like, damn. How much more of this do we need? But at the same time, I get it though. I get it. With all the crap that we got going on in this world, music like that is meant to pull us away from that a little bit. Just let loose, have fun, have a great time. That's what it's meant for. I can understand that part of it. I get that. I can understand that. To listen to it on the daily, I'd rather listen to it in doses. Because I noticed a pattern, it's like now almost everybody picks up on that. It's nothing original about it now. It's like, nah, can you do something different? Please. Give me something different here. That's just my mentality of the whole thing. Especially with the kind of content that I write about, the content that I make. That's how I feel about it. We need more content like that. I mean, we got plenty of it to look forward to. We got plenty of it. We got plenty. And some of those tend to be able to market within the mainstream. I'll give them props to that. But sometimes I like it when artists can put out their music, and even if they don't have a hit, it's still music that means something, that says something, that it's them. You can identify them. You can relate to them. You can understand the music that they're making, what style they go for, what kind of production they do. I love listening to artists like those that I can identify. Those that I feel like, yeah, even when they update their sound, they still got their own thing to them. It's about the execution. Got to get it right with the execution. You got to be able to find your niche. Stick to your roots. But if you're going to update your stuff, make sure that the execution pays off. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it when it comes to the music. Noticing the pattern in music. It's like a lot of this stuff that we got going on right now, the party music as I would call it. A lot of the time, that's how I think. It's the party music. Anytime we get music like that, it's like, yeah, I notice. I notice the pattern here. And I can understand, as big as it is, as trendy as it is, granted, I get it. I get that. But not everybody got to hop on it, though. You know, not everybody got to hop on it. I mean, even for artists who are conscious artists, who tend to make material where it's like, oh yeah, you can listen to this. You really got to sit down and listen to it. Don't just pay attention to the hits. Really listen to it. I love those artists that can do that for me. I love those artists that can do that. Because then I start to pick up on what's supposed to be the feel for what their music is meant to be. The words that they say. And how does the music complement that? As long as I could get that in my life, I'd be ready to write anything. You know? So that's another thing that I wanted to get into as well. As far as patterns go. Now, in terms of everyday life, looking at what we got right now, looking at what we dealing with now, put it this way. For better or for worse. It's a lot of things in this world that we can try to prevent. It's a lot of things in this world that we can't. But it's a matter of how we go at it. It's a matter of how we approach it. It's a matter of how we handle the situation. If we can't handle it properly, chaos. But if we hold ourselves together and process what we have to say on the matter, then somehow, some way, we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right eventually. It's not just going to happen overnight. It ain't going to happen that way. Progression. And I always say that. Progression is everything. Progression is key. It's just that we have to keep that momentum going. And like I said, I'm always trying to look in a positive direction with all of this. Always. I'm always looking for a positive direction in this life. As much as we focus on the negative, how about we give the positive that much attention? As I was saying earlier. So, with everyday life, that's a given. We can get into that anytime. Another thing that I wanted to get into TV and movies. TV and movies. You know, anytime when it comes to finding the cliches and the story beats that you're familiar with, the dialogue that you're familiar with, oh yeah, a lot of the time we tend to pick up on that too. Sometimes I just be like, oh, come on. Did we really have to throw that in there? Like, if we're going to talk about TV, right? There's always a pattern with TV that when it comes to the dialogue, they always have to throw in the kumbaya. Do we really have to come together and sing kumbaya? Like, how many times people are going to write that line? That could get annoying. And then there's always that whole thing of, I was only lying to you because I was trying to protect you. And sometimes that tend to pop up in movies as well. But a lot of the time it's on TV. I'll be like, damn it, man. Do you really have to throw that in there seriously? Knowing the consequences of what could happen if you're lying to someone that trusts you? It's too late by then. Because unless you can make up for it, their mind is already made up. And then there's always the thing when, especially if it's going to come down to a character's death, they always tend to focus on that character so much, whether it's just one episode or 2 episodes. I don't care. I don't care. Even in the movies, even in a movie, anytime they focus on a character for more than a minute, if they have all of a sudden a prominent role, you know they're about to die. It's like you already know that's about to happen. You already know what's about to happen. And how many more times do we have to see cars and trucks getting T-boned into each other? Especially when it comes down to a plot that has to deal with the crime drama of it all. Vehicles are always got to get T-boned just to move the plot forward, and the bad guys attempt to get the one up on the good guys, try to blow up, kill whoever they're trying to get. I mean, there's plenty of cliches and patterns and dialogue that you could pick up on that is like, dude, they really have to put that in there? We know this already. But as I said before, it depends on the execution. If it's effective for what the shows or the movies are going for, it's like, okay, I can see why they did that. I can see why they did that. It's something familiar, something that I've seen before, something that I've heard before, but it's about the execution. Simple, right? But that's all I wanted to get into for today. A lighter vlog that I wanted to do. But yeah, everything in life contains a pattern. Everything in life contains a pattern. Once you start to pick up on it, you notice it right away. I tend to do that. And all of us, we do that. Like, let's not pretend we don't. But that's it. That's all I got for y'all. Like I said, it's a lighter vlog today. It's a lighter one. And once again, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell to be notified on every video that I post up. No worries. I got more material for y'all on the way. I got y'all. Alright? And go to the description box down below the video. Click on all the social media that I use. And be sure to check out everything that I post up on them joints. Because whenever I get the chance to, I am posting. Alright? Catch up. Catch up, y'all. But yeah, with that said, it's Blue Flames the Poet, and I'm out.